Robertson. He is Deputy Director of the Asia Division of Human Rights Watch. He joins me now from Bangkok. Phil, thanks so much for your time for us, as always.
Of course.
Having in mind Myanmar's history, were you surprised with the numbers of people standing up to the military?
I think that this is entirely predictable. There is a mass civil disobedience campaign that is very active. We will see, I think, bigger protests growing in the days to come. So far, we've only seen police out to try to stop these protests, but they're not actually. They're basically setting up blockades, and the protesters have been very smart. They're not trying to breach police barricades. They're just finding another way to walk to where they want to get to. These peaceful protests should be protected. People have a right to make these kind of protests, to exercise their civil and political rights in this way, and we hope that the Myanmar authorities will not crack down on them.
Right. I mean, but still, you know, they are rounding up the leadership, bringing people for questioning. We are seeing internet blackout since the beginning, practically. So what kind of message does this send about the future of the human rights in Myanmar?
Well, right now, there are approximately 150 or a little bit more number of people who have been detained. We want them to be immediately released unconditionally. These people have done nothing wrong and actually should be released. Our sense of it is that the military junta there is waiting to see what's going to transpire on the streets. They're making up their decisions about whether they're going to crack down. Everybody is cognizant of the fact that the military has used deadly force in the past to suppress street protests. Everybody's concerned about that. And that's why I think the international community has to be very vocal and take action now to make sure that the government understands that the international community supports these peaceful protests and that they want to see democracy restored in the country.
Right. Realistically, is there anything that the international community can do to overturn this? We've heard the condemnations coming in from various human rights organizations, from the UN Security Council. But what action can they make to overturn the current situation?
We want to see targeted sanctions against the coup makers, the top people who have been involved in deciding to go forward with this power grab. And we want to see sanctions targeting military companies. There have to be targeted sanctions that really focus on the military and the police and make sure that those people who are benefiting from these corporate arrangements with, for instance, the military conglomerates, the Union of Myanmar Economic Holdings and the Myanmar Economic Corporation, pay a price. We've already seen Kirin, the Japanese beer maker, withdraw from Myanmar, and we want more companies to also follow that lead.
Right, and just briefly, one more question, Phil. What do you make of the reaction from Southeast Asian nations when it comes to the events that are taking place in Myanmar? I mean, their reaction has been muted when it comes to the human rights in Myanmar.
Well, certainly some of the countries have been very bad. Thailand, for instance, basically was sympathetic towards the coup. But we're hopeful that Malaysia and Indonesia, who have said a little bit more and who have called for an urgent special session of ASEAN to discuss the coup, may be able to lead the way for a more muscular approach from the Southeast Asian nations. However, the problem is that ASEAN has a non-interference rule that exists in that regional grouping where no one is supposed to interfere with the international actions or happenings of another member state. And that's a big bar to any sort of significant action from Southeast Asia.
Thanks so much for that, Phil Robertson there. He is the Deputy Director of the Asia Division of Human Rights Watch.